Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman and the Board, and greetings to my fellow shareholders. This resolution presents our bank with an opportunity to take decisive action and stop contributing to the climate crisis. It was filed by hundreds of shareholders who are disappointed that Westpac is still yet to live up to its commitments to the Paris Agreement and are calling for climate leadership from this bank. The reason for the resolution is simple. If Westpac continues to provide or arrange finance for companies that aren't transitioning away from fossil fuels, then our bank is recklessly endangering our climate, our economy, and the safety of our communities. This resolution is certainly not asking for the bank to cut off all fossil fuel funding immediately. This resolution is not even calling for the bank to implement a new policy. It simply requests that the bank take its existing policy and apply it across its full fossil fuel and energy portfolio. Articulated in its 2023 Climate Change Position Statement and Action Plan, Westpac has already committed to requiring a credible 1.5-degree aligned transition plan from its upstream oil and gas customers from the 1st of October 2025. And without a credible plan, Westpac is not going to arrange bonds or provide corporate finance to those companies. And this should be the expectation of all fossil fuel companies. It cannot just apply to one subsector. It should apply to any new finance that our bank can provide or arrange for those companies, which enables them to grow or expand their operations. And finally, to avoid Westpac doing more damage to our climate, it should be implemented as soon as possible. The overwhelming majority of fossil fuel companies in the world are not transitioning their businesses. Instead, they are increasing their production. If Westpac doesn't require them to reduce their emissions, it risks financially enabling them to trigger climate catastrophe. Terrifyingly, it looks like this is where we're headed. Just last month, the UN stated that the world is on track to produce almost 70% more fossil fuels than is compatible with even a catastrophic 2 degrees of warming. At 2 degrees of warming, 99% of the world's coral reefs will be devastatingly impacted and may not recover, but that is just one example. Given this context, it is completely reasonable to require fossil fuel companies to have a credible emission reduction plan by the start of 2025. The IPCC and the International Energy Agency have both warned that emissions from existing and committed fossil fuels means that there's no room for any new coal, oil and gas projects in a world hoping to maintain a safe climate. Yet Westpac continues to provide or arrange finance for companies developing new fossil fuels, while Australians suffer increasingly severe climate disasters. This year, Westpac participated in arranging a $1.3 billion bond to Santos, and this is a bond that won't mature until 2033. Santos has 5 new and expanded oil and gas projects in its pipeline, and its plans would see an increase to the company's emissions of 40% by the end of this decade. In October, our bank loaned over 100 million to JERA Global Partners, one of the world's biggest gas producers, traders, and power producers. And JERA is actively trying to lock countries like Bangladesh and Vietnam into an energy system dependent on new gas rather than renewables. It is also a project partner in the Barossa project, I should note. But these examples are just some of many. Westpac has loaned over $5 billion to fossil fuel expansion since the Paris Agreement. And as the Chairman and Peter King pointed out earlier, fossil fuel companies do represent a very small portion of our lending portfolio. But the reckless and irresponsible business strategies of some of those companies are endangering the other 99% plus of our customers. Our home loan portfolio makes up over 50% of our total lending business. And Australian homeowners are already feeling the horrific impacts of climate change with increasing regularity. Having already borne the brunt of the Black Summer bushfires and the unprecedented 2022 flooding events, Australians are sadly having to adapt to more of the same as climate change worsens. But it is avoidable, and Westpac does have a role to play. Our bank will continue to shoot itself in the foot if it continues enabling fossil fuel companies to pursue their expansion projects and condemn not only all Australians, but also this company to a less prosperous, more insecure, and increasingly dire future. With the evidence concretely pointing to what needs to be done, this resolution offers Westpac the chance of the critical decade to be a global leader on climate in the finance sector. Thank you.